Today I will share 10 Webflow tricks that only a few people know. And if you also discovered something recently, feel free to share it in the comments section. My name is Jonas Arleth and I created the Webflow learning platform called Formburg, and there you'll find many free Webflow tutorials that will help you on your Webflow journey. You probably know that you can upload WebP formats and images to Webflow assets. But did you know that you can also convert a video, an MP4 file, to a WebP format? This process works surprisingly fast and can be optimized for file size. And once you download it, you can simply drag it into your Webflow project. And this means you don't have to integrate an MP4 video as a background video, for example. Instead, you can use a standard image format which allows you to skip using large GIFs. You can also control the animation with a little bit of JavaScript, for example, to pause and play the animation. If you want to enhance your project with some custom JS code, you don't necessarily have to place the JavaScript code in the page settings, which makes sense when it's something that affects multiple pages, for example. Then you can use it also in your page settings of the project. However, sometimes it's useful to integrate the code directly where it influences the section using an embed. For example, here I have integrated a zoom in effect that can be played directly in the Webflow preview. It's important that this works with JavaScript code and should always be placed after the elements it references. And then you can also open it faster instead of going to the body closing tag. However, if we are working with jQuery, it's still important to place the code before the closing body tag, as Webflow integrates the jQuery library at the end of the structure. Sometimes you might need to hide an element on the page for testing or comparison purposes. Usually this is done with a combo class. In my case, for example, a hide class, which sets a CSS effect of display none. And this makes it look like the element is no longer present here on the page in the layout. However, it is still in your Webflow project, so we can make it visible later again, which is good. But it's important to know that this element is still present in the code and can be crawled by search engines. And you might not want this. So a useful different approach is to go into the settings and then set the visibility to hidden. And the cool thing is that it's still present here in Webflow. And this icon shows that it's hidden, but it won't be rendered in the code on the live side, which has significant advantages. So you don't have to use the visibility settings only for components or CMS related elements. You can also use them to hide elements in general. In Webflow, you can copy elements between different projects. However, this is only working if these projects are associated with the same account or have been shared with your freelance account. But what if you want to copy an element from an old client project to a completely different new client project? And this is possible if you copy a component using a tool like Copyflow. You can then paste it here with a command V, and the link is available for 48 hours. This means you can share such a link in a forum, for example, or elsewhere. And it can be pasted into a completely different project, even if it's associated with a different Webflow account. So leave a like if you also find a tool like this helpful. There are many platforms out there where you can convert PNGs or JPEGs to a WebP format or compress images in general. But if you have a Webflow account and already have a project, you could also use the Webflow's asset management for that. The cool thing is that you can quickly select as many images as you want and compress them all at once. And many platforms have limitations or annoying advertising, but here in Webflow, after a short wait, you can open everything in a new tab and drag it onto your desktop. And if you no longer need them, you can simply delete an entire folder here and the assets won't clutter your project. It might be important to you to have also the images in different variants and sizes, so you can inspect this in your browser and then see that Webflow integrates the image elements in different sizes. And that means you can also install a browser extension that automatically downloads all images visible on a page. And this way you can quickly get different sizes in a compressed format that you can download. That's just something I came up with while recording this video. Let's say you want to style this entire element here differently, for example, in an accent color. And usually you would mark this box and then assign a combo class like is accent, and then change the background color, change also the font color, and so on. And the problem is that you would have to do this for each of these boxes and elements. but there's also a faster way. You can work with variable themes and modes for that. For example, I have created a theme collection here in the variables, and there is a base mode, a dark mode, and for you now created a style free to test it and to make it visible. This means we can now assign these themes to an element such as a component wrapper element, simply a div class, and there I can activate the variable mode's selected theme and then choose dark mode, for example. And it will pass these variables to the child elements linked in this component. And this way I can quickly have completely different styles without any combo classes. Similarly, I can use here style free and have a completely different design. If you work in a client project and want to replace an image, you previously had to upload the new image to the assets, click on the image and replace it. The downside is that you had to go to the layout position each time. And now there is a much faster way. Go to the assets, find the image, click on replace, and then upload the new image to replace it. The cool thing is that it retains the file name and the alt description. That means you don't have to go to the layout position and replace the image, which is super cool. When working with components, you often have a long list in the components panel. It can be hard to find which one you have integrated. The good thing is you can right-click and select Show Instance, and then Webflow will take you directly to where this element is in your component list. And this way you can quickly change, for example, the descriptions in the settings or see where it is integrated on which page. It can be useful if you plan, for example, to clean up your project, as even unused components are still in your component list and also included in the published site code. And this makes it easier to find things if you want to delete or modify them. Did you know that you can use emojis in all descriptions inside of Webflow, also in classes and CMS collection names? And this way you can quickly signal to the client which collection they can edit and which collection they should not edit. You could also use emojis for the in and out animation description in the interactions panel to quickly scan the list and see which is responsible for what. Let's say you have already created elements in a CMS collection list that are linked, and you now want to convert this item element into a component to use it elsewhere. You can convert it into a component, and then Webflow will automatically create all the overrides for you. And in this case, the color override isn't possible, but the rest is. So you assign a name now, and as you can see, if I now use the test component, I can override everything here. And down here in the collection list, it's already connected to the CMS. And finally, as a bonus trick for advanced users, let's say we want to apply only 80% of the color from a variable to this button's background color and reduce the opacity a bit. Of course, we could create a new variable for that, but I want to keep my variable list clean. So you can go to the background color and use a CSS code here in the custom properties. It's a bit hard to describe here, so you can click in the field here in background color, and there you can enter the name of your variable, which can be copied from the variable collection. And at the end, you can set it to 80% or 50% or whatever you want. And when you press enter, the variable is used, but only with the percentages you use. And this is pretty cool because you sometimes need these colors variations for icons and such. You can find all the tricks, links and code templates in the blog post linked in the video description. If you want to dive deeper into Webflow, I recommend my Webflow Expert course, where I share advanced techniques for Webflow power users. The course is available in both German and English, and together we're gonna build advanced layouts, animations, configurator, and even a small webshop with a custom Stripe checkout.